It is Thursday, May 25th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, famed sports talk host and emergency place kicker.
It's no good! It's no good! My God. It's no good!
J.P. Shadrick.
He missed it. Welcome in. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. I'm J.P. Shadrick. We've got a busy hour ahead. Organized team activities continue for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Week 1 in the books. The offensive mindset. We'll hear from Press Taylor, offensive coordinator. We'll hear from Christian Kirk as well on what the wide receivers think they could do in the offense this year. The defense looking to improve, and we'll hear from Tyson Campbell, Jaguars cornerback, who sat down with John Oehser earlier this week. We'll go around the National Football League as well and get Log's thoughts on the rule changes that have been approved earlier this week. We're on 10 a.m., Jaguars.com, Jaguars Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and a podcast, of course, on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Jacksonville Jaguars. Hit us up on Twitter at JP Shadrick, at Logs56. Jeff Lageman with us now. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, JP. It's a beautiful day in paradise.
Yeah, the rain yesterday was pretty nasty.
Weather's been kind
away.
of, I mean, we've got a full-blown northeaster going on in the springtime. It's not very typical that you have that. And
or if you do, it's earlier in the spring, right? Like March.
No, well, in the fall.
Yeah.
It's typically when you get a lot of northeasters. And so we've had this northeast wind with strong winds, and it's brought a bunch of rain, and it's made the temperatures nice and cool when it hasn't been raining. So, I mean, from that standpoint, it's been good. But you know, the one thing with the players and the team is that they've got an amazing facility, and then even if it does rain a little bit, the field here inside the stadium, which is where they're still practicing at, while the final touches are put on the practice facility there, the Mill Electric practice fields. So once that's all done, they'll move over there. But this field, it drains great.
If you want to give us the 7-day forecast, it'd be great. The local on the 8s is about 6 minutes away.
Oh, that's okay. I'm good. I figured you would handle that, and then you might handle the marine weather as well.
Hey, I can tell you which way the wind's blowing. That's about all I got for you. That's
and hey, look, windy conditions earlier this week. So was there a little tough stretch of kicking earlier in the week that led to this trade that happened today?
Yeah, no trade. They signed 10th-year kicker Brandon McManus and waived Riley Pederson. Of course, McManus was released a couple days ago by the Broncos after 9 seasons. He's 81% for his career, 40 made field goals and 50-plus yards, the third most in the NFL in his time span in the league since 2014. He made every postseason kick in 4 games in the playoffs. 3 of 3 in Super Bowl 50 on field goals. He made the only extra point he had to kick in that game. So Pederson, who was signed before last season, is now gone. He was 86% in the regular season, missed 5 field goals, 2 of 3 from 50-plus. And, of course, he had the game winner against the Chargers in the wild card game.
He did a really good job last year at a position that really wasn't settled until he took over. So, I mean, credit to him. And I'm sure he's going to have an opportunity to catch on somewhere else. And a lot of people say, why make the change with a guy that kicked 86% last year? McManus was a 81% career average guy. And I think that's a valid question. Number one, Pederson, from the way I understand it, wasn't super consistent in practice. And a lot of times when he got to the game, which he was great, but there was a little concern about the consistency day in and day out. And then also a little bit, I have concerns about the strength of the leg with Pederson. You know, could he kick a 61-yard field goal like McManus has done at the Chargers?
Not in L.A.
Not in Denver, which first impression you might think that, okay, that came in Denver. And this is a football team that's got a belief that they can compete for Lombardi, and when you can compete for Lombardi, you want to have confidence in a kicker when it comes down to that game-winning kick at the end of the game.
Only half of Patterson's kickoffs last year were touchbacks, 44 of 88.
Which was, real quick, just a little bit of a problem now, because now you're starting to ask Logan Cook to do something.
That's right.
Which you like to have a punter punt and a kicker kick. And when you ask what I believe is a Pro Bowl caliber punter and Logan Cook to have him start to do kickoff duties. I don't know if you noticed this, but when they had asked him to do that, the punting wasn't as good in those games for whatever reason. So let a punter concentrate on punting and have your kicker do the kicking.
It's just a different style altogether. So
it's a totally different leg
motion. Get out of your rhythm. Yeah.
Totally different leg motion altogether.
And there's a much better percentage of touchbacks from McManus in his career, but we'll see what happens. But there you go. McManus is in as the Jaguars kicker. James McCourt is on the roster still and was on the roster all last year as a backup, was on the practice squad. And
he had a good day today.
He's been around.
Yeah, he did the kicking today, and he did very well. I mean, he's got a super strong leg, and that's why they like McCourt from day one. And he's continuing to work on his consistency, but there's never been a question about his leg strength.
We're talking about kickers, man.
I know.
This is right up your alley.
Well, look, nobody wants to talk about kickers until all of a sudden there's 2 seconds left on the clock and you're down by 2 with the playoffs on the line or the opportunity to advance to the next week in the playoffs. Okay, then who wants to start talking about kicker?
Everybody.
Everybody does. I mean, so essentially they're having that conversation now instead of waiting for an issue to crop up. And I think it's kind of, I don't want to say getting ahead of a problem because I don't think Pederson necessarily was a problem, but it's you got to have confidence in where you're at. And if you don't have confidence and you always have concern in the back of your mind, I think in some cases you can even coach differently. I mean, right?
Yeah. If you have a stronger leg that you're confident in, maybe you call something a little differently in a key third down or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm on board with this move. This is a guy that's veteran. He's proven, been there, done that, and he's done it at the highest level, which is the Super Bowl.
And this is an example of trying to improve the roster at really every position, right? You always kind of look around and see what's out there, and if there's something out there you feel could be an upgrade, then maybe you pull the trigger.
Well, in the way I understand it, he was excited about coming here. The salary cap implication is not that bad. He had a big number, which is one of the reasons why that he was released in Denver. And he wanted to be here. Supposedly surpassed up a couple other opportunities that could have paid more elsewhere. So that's a really good thing. That goes to show you when you start getting to that point to where you're attracting people and if dollar amounts are equal and you're getting the advantage because people want to come here, then that means you're starting to build things the right way, that you're starting to establish a culture and you're establishing a reputation with those around the National Football League. Just like Kansas City. Kansas City can attract some people because of the opportunity to win and what Andy Reid has built in Kansas City. Well, Doug Pederson is doing the same exact thing with Trent Baalke right here in Jacksonville.
It's Jaguars Happy Hour on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Glad you're with us on Jaguars Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Phase 3 underway. The first week of organized team activities now in the book. The third one was today, 3 practices next week, 4 the week after that, and then the mandatory minicamp. So 3 more weeks remaining of the offseason program. Head coach Doug Pederson knows what the team pace should feel like this time of year and what it should look like on the practice field during OTAs.
From a passing standpoint, I think, Trevor and the receivers, tight ends, running backs, just being on the same page. The guys that were here, being on the same page. There shouldn't be any, what I would say, balls on the ground, right? They should be completed at a high percentage, and it's just a matter of, not getting anybody hurt this time of year. You just don't want any setbacks that way, this close to camp.
Pretty simple. Keep it smooth, keep it off the ground, and stay healthy.
Well, I mean, that's easier said than done sometimes when you have a competitive environment in a Phase 3 practice where there's helmets and then there's offense versus defense competition. So you always, as a coach, want to make sure that the guys are smart, but you also want to make sure that you're out there not just going through the motions. I mean, the main objective is not to just, okay, let's just not get hurt. Okay, the main objective is let's get better as a football team, and so you make sure that you're just doing it the right way. And as a coach, and that's really up to the coaching staff, and it's not just Doug Pederson. It's Doug Pederson and all of his staff to make sure that they emphasize, hey, look, let's compete, let's get better, but let's be smart.
You know, who kind of leads the charge on that, though, is the quarterback. He sets the tone for a lot of this offseason work and how things are done, and certainly he's comfortable so far in year 2 in this system, at least through a few OTA practices, it feels like. Offensive coordinator Press Taylor earlier this week.
He was very receptive, and that's the one thing about Trevor. His maturity level is off the charts. So you're able to sit down and say, here's what we see, here's what we need to improve on. He generally has the same notes for the most part. We'll ask, what are your thoughts? And he kind of says the same thing we're tracking, so that's very encouraging for us as a coaching staff to kind of already see the same things, want to improve on the same things, whether that's fundamentals with him or schematics in terms of our whole offense.
Yeah, so Trevor sets the tone, and you better keep up with him because he's doling out the football, and you want to be in his good graces, right?
Well, and I think the most important thing that Press said right there is that Trevor is mature beyond his years, and we know that. We got to see firsthand his rookie season, which was a very challenging one for him and for this football team, and he was just outstanding at it and outstanding at dealing with the adversity that comes with being a rookie, but then also the things that were challenging because of the environment that was here with Urban Meyer at that time. So I give Trevor all the credit in the world. And watching him out there, look, he's getting better. And he's challenging guys. He's challenging himself. And that's part of what quarterbacks have to do. Trevor's growth process, it's not like all of a sudden, okay, his whole game has arrived. He's got a lot of work to do. And he's well on his way, don't get me wrong. But he's still got a lot of things that he can get better at and get immensely better at. And that's, I think, the mark of somebody that has an opportunity at greatness when they recognize that there's still a lot of hard work left to be done. And I think that's the most impressive thing about a player like Trevor Lawrence.
Give us a couple of those things. What do you think he needs to improve upon?
Well, accuracy, consistency. The one game I thought that he was just absolutely lights out this past year was the Tennessee game. I mean, he was just played out of his mind. His ability to get rid of the ball in a quick fashion, the ability to maneuver into the pocket to find the open guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost to the point where you remember the movie Caddyshack?
I do.
No. I mean, it was just one of those things where for Trevor, it was just like
Be the ball.
It was just he was just playing the game, and he wasn't thinking about what he had to do. He was just doing it. And when you have moments like that, then you know that you want to end up trying to find more moments like that, especially for a young player. But that's what you're looking for when things start to happen, because it's just happening. It's just you're reacting. You're not so much thinking about things, and it speeds everything up when you're just reacting instead of thinking through it in a quick instant and then reacting physically.
A flute with no holes is not a flute.
A flute with no holes is
a
not a
donut
flute.
with no hole is a Danish. That's the same line.
Okay.
Be the ball.
Yeah,
the whole
okay,
thing.
okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I know you didn't pull that off the top of your head.
No,
You
I didn't have it.
Google that real
It's
quick
been a
while
minute.
I was talking.
The Jags are excited to take the field this fall, and we want you here for all the action. For as low as $57 per game, you can join the ranks of the most dedicated fans, become a Jags season ticket member, and find your perfect seats at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
Yeah, pretty cool opportunity that I had this week. And then last week, they've been bringing some prospective season ticket buyers in for a lunch, and got to meet a bunch of different people last week and this week. And the level of excitement in my mind is high, and try to convey some of that to these people, because some of the magical moments that we had last year, and I'm looking forward to having even more magical moments. But a great opportunity for me to meet a lot of people that are future season ticket holders.
I'm sure they were excited to see you.
No, I was excited to see them, JP. Really,
It's a two-way street.
yeah, absolutely. No, it's fun. It was fun. I love talking to people from different walks of life, especially people that have one thing in common, and that's Jaguars football.
What wide receiver Christian Kirk says are the expectations for production in Season 2. That's next on Jaguars Happy Hour.
Hey, Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes.
In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com. Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ready to go nuts? Fresh, hot, salty, boiled peanuts. The roadside stand flavor that made the South famous is now available at all Jaguars home games. Luray Peanut Company puts a little South in your mouth with the briny perfection of their original recipe or peppery kick of their authentic Cajun recipe. Packed with protein and superfood nutrition, they're the MVP of snacks. Get them at the game or from your grocer's freezer and enjoy them at home. Go Jags, go Luray, go nuts.
Honey, are you using the hot water?
No.
The water's cold again. How can we fix it? Did you just quack like a duck?
Yep. Duck Rooter, your plumbing pros in Northeast Florida. For water heater installation and service, including tankless water heaters, gas or electric, call for a quote today.
When you're stuck, call the duck. 904-862-6769.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
The Ford Spring Sellathon is here. It's the one sales event you don't want to miss. Time to get up and get into Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks 46 years straight. Get a great deal on a new Ford F-150 with available Pro Power onboard that gives you the power of a mobile generator. Or get low financing on a spacious new Ford SUV designed to help you make the most out of the extra daylight. But don't wait. These deals won't last long. It's the Spring Sellathon, only at your local Ford dealer. Based on 1977 to 2022 CY total sales.
The station that the Jaguars listen to, 1010XL. Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
My goal is to just become more of a vocal leader in our room, kind of take the reins, along with guys, Calvin and Zay, just being the older guys in our room, just really bringing up the younger guys with us because we go as a group. So I think that's number one. And then just, looking back on things that, I kind of left out there and, maybe you could, improve on technique-wise and, just kind of be a very harsh critic of myself and my game and come out here and try to perfect that every day.
As Christian Kirk had a chance to catch up with him Tuesday after OTA practice number 2. The full conversation now on Jaguars.com. And welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. We're on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, and at Jaguars on Twitter, also on Jaguars Facebook and YouTube. Glad you're with us today. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Yeah, Christian Kirk had a career year last year, obviously. In season number 5 in the NFL, over 1,100 yards receiving, a career best there, and 8 touchdowns as well, career high in catches and targets and everything to go with that. Well, it's an offense that has most of the pieces back, plus an addition or two. So, is this, what does this feel like for the receivers this year now with the addition of Ridley in terms of numbers? Is it too early to tell? What can you expect from the production of a guy like Christian Kirk in this season ahead?
Well, for me, I'd be shocked if his numbers get better. And I'm not saying that just because he's not better. I would say that just because all of a sudden if you add a guy of the level of Calvin Ridley, there's got to be some opportunities that are going to go his way. They play the game with one ball, as we all know. and you still want to have a balanced attack with Tank Bigsby and ETN. So you've got to be able to make sure that the offense is the most important thing. And
there's a tight end or two in there as well that gets some touches.
Well, it's a tight end or two, which is right, because you have Evan Ingram and also a second-round pick in Strange.
Yep.
But the most important thing is that how these players react to having one ball. This past year, it was fantastic. It was about the team, and it was about, hey, let's just be the best we can be. And I don't see any reason why that this would be different this year. I really don't. And the fullback maybe even take some catches away from the wide receivers.
Well, we'll see about that. A little too early to tell on that.
That was
part.
The linebacker from Houston.
Yeah.
What's his
Parrish.
name? Parrish.
Yeah.
You don't sound very fired up about him,
I mean,
JP.
it's OTAs. We'll see. Let's get real with camp. And we'll figure out
like
his
a little
role.
down about his whole fullback thing. You don't like fullbacks?
Well, he's not playing as a fullback right now. That's the thing. He's a tight end, kind of moving
like
around all over the
fullback,
place.
H, whatever you want to call him.
That.
But I'm excited to see this offense. But, the one thing you've got to make sure that you have players that are very unselfish in this offense, and that's the kind of offense that Doug Pederson wants to coach. Doug Pederson is a big believer in that, look, you get the ball to your playmakers, but you get the ball to the open playmakers. Mm-hmm. And that's why he does such a really good job with scheme and everything else. So I think he's one of the best coaches in the National Football League on the offensive side, without a question. And when you have more weapons, now all of a sudden you give a quarterback a lot more options and you can be a lot more creative. But at the end of the day, I don't know if Doug Peterson's going to have an offense where he says, hey, we got to get the ball to Calvin Ridley 12 shots a game. It just depends on the game plan and depends on the opponent.
Who's open, where they're lining
and
up,
how they
whole
play
deal.
them.
That's right. And now you got Kirk and Zay Jones, who obviously got paid coming in last year in their free agent contracts. It's a contract year coming up for Calvin Ridley. A lot of things to prove for Calvin.
Sure.
He'll be motivated certainly to –
I loved watching Christian Kirk and Zay Jones last year from the standpoint of you can kind of tell with a wide receiver where their mindset is as far as are they a diva or are they a team guy by how they go about their business when the ball's not coming their way. If it's a pass and the ball doesn't go their way, how do they react? What's the body language look like? If it's a run, how do they do in blocking? Mm-hmm. And we saw, and I pointed out to you numerous times last year on the film of how well that Christian Kirk and Zay Jones were blocking last year, and their body language is never suspect when the ball goes to somebody else. That's how I tell about guys like that.
You got smart guys out there too, guys that know the entire offensive system, and at a moment's notice, they don't have to change sides of the field. They're running the other guy's route, and a few times that happened this year for scores. So that you got to have that part of the equation as well, and that's a big piece of why those guys are here, because you got to keep up with Press Taylor and Doug Pederson in that scheme.
Well, and by the way, got a new wide receivers coach.
That's right.
This year, Chad Morton, I believe it is. Hall. Well, excuse me, Chad. Why did I say Chad Morton?
He was a player here for 10 days.
Yeah, for a minute.
Yeah,
but
not even a cup of coffee.
But I think it's great that you have, and I'm a big fan. And obviously, there's a little history with Doug Pederson. But I love the fact when you have guys that have played the game that coach their position, just like when Keenan McCardell was here. We all know Keenan. He was a great Jaguar and an excellent coach. And when you have coaches that played the position, there's a lot of things that they can pass on to the players of today from personal experience. And sometimes when you have a lesson and there's a story involved with it, sometimes that lesson gets heard a little bit better.
Not like a back in my day story.
No. But you can say, hey, look, we're trying to do this footwork on this play because it's going to accomplish this. And let me give you an example. Back in such and such a year, we were playing so-and-so, and it doesn't have to necessarily be you, but when you're drawing upon experiences that you've lived through, I think it's a lot easier to be able to share a message and to have that message be heard.
It's Jaguars Happy Hour on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Glad you're with us on Jags Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Let's shift our discussion to the offensive line now. Cam Robinson was not at the first OTA practice of the week. It's my understanding he returned. He's back. Okay, so day one at least it was Walker Little and Anton Harrison, but now with Cam back in the fold and around getting work, they're all getting work, and that's a good thing.
Well, and you got to remember too, Cam's coming back from an injury.
Yep.
So and also Ben Barch. I mean,
Yes.
you got two offensive linemen that are coming back from being on the injury reserve at the end of last year.
And remember, Sheriff was banged up but played through it most of the
Sheriff
year.
seemed to be some kind of ab core injury that he was on the injury report for various weeks. But you can see that both Barch and Cam are working their way back, and I think everybody's felt pretty good about where they're at. And there's not a game next week, and so you want to make sure that you're smart and you work them back to the point where when you hit the ground in week one, that's what it's all about. It's not about training camp necessarily. It's just about working the player back at the appropriate level of exertion so that you don't end up having the risk of any kind of setback.
This is where it gets tough in a non-contact period, though. When you have 11 on 11 work, what is that line? How much can you do on an offensive line?
Well, it's limited, and I think that's the hardest position, offensive and defensive lines, when you're in this phase of the season's preparation to accomplish some things. And sometimes you got to be careful because you can actually form some bad habits in this period of practice because you don't have pads on. So you've got to be careful with that. And you got to make sure that your pad level is where it is, because a lot of times when you're in no pads, you kind of get in bad habits because you don't want to have that contact. So your body positioning sometimes will be a little bit more lax because you're making sure you're trying to not have that contact. So there's a very fine line, or should I say there's two very fine lines. You're trying to find that comfort range in between those two lines, not being too hard and overly crazy, and then also not being just, hey, look, it's a walkthrough. But there's a way to accomplish that. But offensive linemen, I think, accomplish the most when they're in an individual period. And then also the first couple steps of the drill, and then once contact seems imminent, then you got to be smart. With defensive linemen, it's hand placement, it's body positioning, it's body lean, but then also making sure that when you get to the point of possibly making contact, you got to be smart. But again, those positions where you're trying to be smart sometimes can form bad habits.
Calling all Jags fans, elevate your game day experience with Vine 04 Napa Valley, the official wine club of the Jags. Sip on handcrafted Napa Valley wines and show your team pride with every pour. Visit vine04.com and sign up, and you'll receive 3 or 6 premium Napa Valley wine bottles twice a year, along with exclusive access to private events and complimentary tastings. Join the Vine 04 Club today and toast to the Jags' legacy with every sip. Cornerback Tyson Campbell explains the working to win mindset next on Jaguars Happy Hour.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
The Ford Spring Sellathon is here. It's the one sales event you don't want to miss. Time to get up and get into Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks 46 years straight. Get a great deal on a new Ford F-150 with available Pro Power onboard that gives you the power of a mobile generator. Or get low financing on a spacious new Ford SUV designed to help you make the most out of the extra daylight. But don't wait. These deals won't last long. It's the Spring Sellathon, only at your local Ford dealer. Based on 1977 to 2022 CY total sales.
We serve up a lot of different things at Dailies, but there's one ingredient that goes in everything we make. That's quality. Whether it's a piled high breakfast biscuit, a sub, or tacos and quesadillas for the whole family, you get more delicious choices and quality all the way, all day. Quality meats, quality fixings, quality everything. Right down to the quality person that makes it for you. That's what we know Jacksonville deserves. Quality made fresh. Dailies.
As the official dentist of the Jacksonville Jaguars, ASAP Dental is a champion of the dental game. Let them win you over with full-service dental care and the same-day smile you deserve. Open 7 days a week, ASAP Dental has 8 locations to serve you in the Northeast Florida area. So come see them today. With their exceptional experience and care, you're always treated as the MVP. Visit asapdentalcare.com or call 904-500-2727 to book your appointment today.
Reconnect with the best version of you at Amara Med Spa, Northeast Florida's premier luxury medical spa, located in Ponte Vedra, Town Center, Avondale, St. Augustine, and Fernandina. With the most advanced injectors, estheticians, and technology, Amara Med Spa is redefining beauty, offering services such as Botox and filler, M-Sculpt Neo, painless laser hair removal, and advanced skincare treatments. Visit theamaramedspa.com and book a complimentary consultation today.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony, Jaguars Today. All Jaguars, all NFL, all the time. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
You got to work to win. Winning is a process, and it's going to be the little things that matter. And one of those little things is team chemistry, just having a bunch of guys bond into one culture, and the coaching staff as well. Once you get everyone on the same board, that allows you to have success because everybody is not only playing for one another, but playing for a purpose. So I would say those two things because winning in this league is pretty difficult.
It's Tyson Campbell, work to win. He visited with John Oehser, Jaguars.com senior writer, on the Ozone podcast. I believe it comes out tomorrow on the official Jaguars podcast network, so check it out. Always good to hear from Tyson Campbell. More on that coming up, but some breaking news now. Tom Pelissero of NFL Media tweeting that the Jaguars aren't releasing kicker Riley Pederson after all. They traded him to the Lions. No word on the compensation, so possibly a draft pick coming back. Yes, the Lions are trading a draft pick to a comeback, so there you go. I guess the official transaction wire is, 4 o'clock? So anything that's, you can kind of hold it back until 4, and then you get some offers and don't put it as an official waive. You can make the trade, and that's apparently what the Jags have done.
Well, then the Jaguars waited for Pederson. They were kind of following that kicking battle last year in Detroit that Pederson was a part of, I believe.
Yes. He was waived in late August, right at the end in 22.
And so you basically traded a guy back to the team that you acquired him from for nothing, and then you're going to get a draft pick back. I mean, that's a great job by Trent Baalke there to be able to get a draft pick.
Late round draft choice. No word officially.
Any draft pick is a good thing.
Yeah.
For that, I mean, heck. Take that any day of the week.
So that's a little bit of the business side of it. That is officially done now. So good luck to Riley in Detroit. We'll see him in training camp. First when the Jaguars practice in Detroit.
Yeah, what's the story on that?
So, Doug Pederson said this a few weeks ago. I don't think it's officially been put out by the Lions, but Doug Pederson's on the record saying they're practicing against the Lions in training camp leading up to that game 2.
Then that's in Detroit?
Yes.
That's cool. I think you really gain a lot out of practicing with somebody else, and especially if you've got a good relationship with the coaching staffs that to where they're kind of on the same mindset as far as what they're looking to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And if the coaches are friends, and you've got 2 coaching staffs that I think are very well respected, first and foremost, and number 2 have been around the league for a long time, former players, a lot of them on both staffs. So it should be a spirited, competitive atmosphere. And the reason I say that you accomplish a lot in something of this nature, Because look, day in and day out, you get tired of going against the same guy. I mean, it just gets old. You're facing the same body type. You're facing the same tendencies. And as a player, whether you're playing corner or wide receiver or linebacker or tight end, you want to see different body types. You want to see different talents and different skill sets. And the only way that you get better is that if you can see those different skill sets, et cetera, and in as much of a prepared environment as you can get. And this is perfect because after a while, JP, I know, like when I hate to use that term, but when I was playing, going against Baselli all the time it got boring. I got beat all the time. I was getting old. It's like, man, can I even play the game anymore? But it's nice to go against different faces because you get to try different moves and you get to try different techniques against a player that has a different skill set.
And this day and age, starting players rarely get many reps, if any at all, in the preseason. Those are your reps, or those practice reps against other teams.
Yeah, and the way it typically works in a preseason setting when you have practices against a team, you'll have the starters have a lot of reps in the practices leading up to the game. And then once you get to the game, because it's a less controlled environment, then you'll have the starters not play as much in the game, having them get the majority of the reps in the controlled environment practices. And then you're looking at evaluating a lot of that second and third and fourth team players in the preseason game, which is perfect because that's the environment you want to see them in is when the lights are bright and it's a competitive situation.
It's Jaguars Happy Hour. Let's get back to defense now. We heard from Tyson Campbell there, the work-to-win mentality. So let's just take a look at the top part of this secondary. Campbell, Darius Williams, Trey Herndon, those are your corners. Rayshawn Jenkins, Andre Sisco, and then Andrew Wingard mixes in there some as well. It's the same group.
Well, you got some draft picks, that we kind of wait and see about.
We'll see. But those are the main six guys.
And I think that this is a unit that I feel really good about the safeties. I mean, really good about the safety group.
Sisco's been in the weight room, by the way. Have you seen his arms?
Sisco's always been in great shape.
Yes.
But
he told me he made it an emphasis this offseason, and it shows.
And he's had, I think, in what he does really well, he's got great ball skills, and the more experience he gets, the more opportunities he's going to get for his hands to be on the ball, which is he's going to be able to make more of an impact that way because that's how he was so impactful when he was in college. Yes. And Rayshawn Jenkins is a bundle of energy, made some game-changing plays there towards the end of the season, and love the way he just kind of love the way he plays the game. I mean, the guy, I just never forget the game, regular season game in Kansas City, and the energy that he brought to that game was awesome. So the safety group feel really Wingard, good special teams player, but also can play a role if you go to three safety looks. Daniel Thomas is an excellent special teams player that's high energy, does a great job as a gunner. I mean, this is a really good position group. When you get to the corner room, that's, I think, an area that you want to see some players start to pop out and show you some development, whether it be the guys that were drafted in the later rounds last year, whether it be the guys that are drafted this year. You hope that they can all take a step up, because you get better two different ways. You either get better by getting better players from elsewhere, or that you develop the players that you have. And the defensive side of the ball as a whole, that development is going to be imperative this year from within.
Yeah, they didn't really add, at least obviously the first three rounds were all offensive players, and free agency, there's not a lot of guys that, at least right now, there's no depth chart, but starting groups back.
Well, and
for the most part,
JP, to be a great defense in this league, and this is what, a passing league now.
Yes, it is.
Which means you need to be able to rush and cover. Okay, so rush and cover. Those are the two ways in which you can affect a quarterback. And did this team get better in the rush category?
No.
Well, I mean
who knows?
I mean,
we don't know yet.
Well, here's the thing. If you looked at it from a standpoint that the only way you're going to get better is through free agency, you would say no. Okay. Did they get better from the draft standpoint? We'll see. Okay. But there's also the ability to get better, again, from developing the talent that you already have on the roster. So are some of these guys going to get better? We'll see.
They've got 4 first-round picks in the front 7 since 2019. Josh Allen, Caleb Chazon, Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, they've got to develop and improve.
Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd, you need to see those guys
second year
take a step up in year 2. And then also you need the coaches to be able to take a step up in the utilization of their skill set. And what I mean by that is that, you know, when you draft a player, you have an idea of what that player can do. And then when you bring them in and then you actually see it, and you see it under duress and week in and week out, then you really get an understanding of what that player can and cannot do. So then once you see it, then you take that information on what he was able to do well, what he wasn't able to do well, and then you make the best plan for those players. And then that makes them be able to do the best things that they do. And so Trayvon Walker, will he have his hand on the ground more? I hope so. Will Devin Lloyd be able to be a little bit more aggressive and do some things besides just try to because at times last year it looked like he was lost and he had some busts. Can he clean it up? I think he can, because I like Devin Lloyd. I think he's a great leader in college, and I think that leadership will allow him to get back and be a steady force. He's an amazing athlete. He made a play, gosh, I want to say it was Tuesday. I don't know if you were out there, and it was just athleticism was just oozing out of him making this play. And so I want to see him make those kind of plays that we saw last year early in the season, and then, continue to see him develop. Chad Muma, see him to continue to develop. And if you get some of that, then I think you got a chance. But you got to get the development from the guys that you have on that defensive side of the ball.
And, some guys deeper down the perceived depth chart this time of year. A guy we haven't seen yet. He's been banged up for 2 years, Jordan Smith. I mean, he's got the body to do it, 6'7", 250. Can he stay healthy? Can he
he's coming back from a knee.
Something? A couple of knees. Can he flash something here?
And
big offseason for him.
It's a big offseason for him, and will he be able to do that? Time will tell.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know about him until you get to putting the pads on and you get in training camp and you start getting him pushing against big bodies.
It'd be a nice bonus if somebody like that can step in and all of a sudden make an impact somehow.
Well, and then look, you got a couple draft picks and Johnson at safety / nickel, and then Abdullah, the rush guy from Louisville. Yep. That can they make an impact? Whether it be on special teams or as a situational player on defense. We'll see, but. Always excited to watch some of these young guys once they get into that environment to where you start to see little glimpses of why they drafted them where they did.
3 more weeks of the off-season program, Logs.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot left. And then you got the mini camp this is phase 3, so you have 3 phases in the off-season training activities, and then you have the mini camp, and then after that it's bye-bye. Okay, say bye-bye to everybody and not everybody leaves.
The rookies stick around, I think, another week or so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then some guys will stick around and continue to work out, but it's just not as structured of an environment as it is when the phases in the mini camps.
I mean, you can do it, you're on your own, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and at that point, you want to continue to train the body, to continue to build, not to where you want to peak when you show up in July, but you want to peak or start to peak when you're starting to get midway into the season. So it's a continual building process. And the players, there's even though they're off, they're really not off.
Were you ever really off?
Well,
maybe right after the season?
Yeah, maybe right after the season for a week or so. But a lot of times when you're at that point, you're just so physically wore out, mentally wore out, that it's more of a rejuvenation period where you just need it just to kind of get the energy level back physically and mentally. And then also a lot of times the guys are getting things rehabbed or fixed surgically or whatever.
You know who never takes a day off? Jeff Lageman.
You don't.
Never takes a day off. Lageman never takes a day
off. I took days off, JP. I didn't take many off. I mean,
not now. I mean, you've developed into a guy. You never take a day off.
When I was playing, at the end of the season, I would take about a week off.
Yeah.
And then if there wasn't a surgery, then, of course, with the surgery, then you were taking time off because you had to. But if there was no surgical procedure, then you were trying to start to lightly work out just to keep your flexibility and then rehabbing some of the body parts that were hurt. But, yeah, I mean, you can rest when you're dead.
Another group of people who never take a day off are ticketing specialists. And if you want to entertain your closest friends, build your network, or treat your employees to a memorable game day experience, there are premium seating options at the bank that fit every need. For more information about single-game suites, club seats, spa cabanas, and more, call 904-633-2000 and press option 3. Fair catches on kickoffs. We'll get Log's thoughts on that when we go around the league next on Jaguars Happy Hour.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
The Ford Spring Sellathon is here. It's the one sales event you don't want to miss. Time to get up and get into Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks 46 years straight. Get a great deal on a new Ford F-150 with available Pro Power onboard that gives you the power of a mobile generator. Or get low financing on a spacious new Ford SUV designed to help you make the most out of the extra daylight. But don't wait. These deals won't last long. It's the Spring Sellathon, only at your local Ford dealer. Based on 1977 to 2022 CY total sales.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
Reconnect with the best version of you at Amara Med Spa, Northeast Florida's premier luxury medical spa, located in Ponte Vedra, Town Center, Avondale, St. Augustine, and Fernandina. With the most advanced injectors, estheticians, and technology, Amara Med Spa is redefining beauty, offering services such as Botox and filler, M-Sculpt Neo, painless laser hair removal, and advanced skincare treatments. Visit theamaramedspa.com and book a complimentary consultation today.
When Jaguars news breaks, you'll hear about it first on 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think all of us should have high expectations of the role we play in this organization, regardless of what you do.
As a team last year, we knew we were good and we had a good group, but the expectations, I'm sure, were pretty low for us.
People didn't really give us a chance last year. We snuck up on some people. Like, we got to play even better now that people know who we are.
That's where you want to be. It's like you want to have expectations. That means you're doing something right.
If we did that last year, the expectation should be go to the Super Bowl. period.
You better look out for us because we're hungry. Like, the expectation level is high around here because we know what that feeling is.
It's not the Jaguars anymore. Like, it's the mother effing Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, let's go.
The Hunt, Episode 2 coming up tonight, 7 o'clock, Jaguars YouTube channel and Jaguars.com. Check it out. And welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, a live look outside at the Miller Electric Center. And we're closing in, coming in hot that thing is moving right along. The Jaguars will get the keys the final day of June officially and begin moving in July 1st.
Yeah, I was actually pulled into the parking lot this morning, and as I pull in, there is a SUV that parks right alongside me. I'm like, And out of that SUV steps this kind of muscled up dude. And I'm going, wait a minute, that's Mojo.
Ah,
That's Maurice Jones-Drew.
How about that?
And he had his 2 boys with him and was coming in to visit, could catch practice, and he played college football with Phil Rauscher, who we just saw in the promo for The Hunt.
How about that? And
then also he went to high school with one of the guys that's on the coaching staff or the staff. And he first thing he said to me was like, man, when's that new facility opening up? When coming across that bridge today, he's like, that's the first thing you could see.
It's big. It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be awesome.
So July 1st, the Jags will begin moving in. There will be training camp held on those fields right there.
Great to see Maurice Jones-Drew, one of the greatest Jaguars in history. The rolling ball of butcher knives, as one of the coaches in the National Football League termed him. He was one heck of a football player and does a great job on the NFL Network.
He does. There's no better time to become a Daily's Place Blue member than right now. Reserve your 23 premium seat membership or individual luxury experience, and you'll get guaranteed seats in the best locations and much more. Email ticketing at boldevents.com or call 904-633-2000. The schedule starting to heat up at Daily's Place as well. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Thank you for watching on Jaguars Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And the official team website, Jaguars.com. Let's go around the National Football League. Well, the league owners voted to allow a 1-year trial of kickoff fair catches. It's the college rule. A fair catch would bring the ball to the 25-yard line. They cited player safety as the reason. The league is expecting a rate of kickoff returns to drop 7% with the new rule. Are you for or against?
I mean, I'm okay with it. I just don't want to see too much change to the game. I mean, kickoff and kickoff returns still is an exciting aspect of the game. And it's still like, for example, is Jamal Agnew going to be fair catching a ball that he's out catching it out the 10-yard line?
I mean, I think I said this on social media earlier this week. If I have Jamal Agnew on my team, I'd give him the green light because if you have an offense that can move the ball, right, I'll take the 5 less yards to give him 3 extra chances to go the distance.
There's been some concern that if they have this rule change, which now it's changed,
One year.
Exactly, that teams would be more apt to do what I call the mortar kicks, the power kicks, the squib kicks, to try to get the team down inside the 25, which those type of kicks would make the game a little bit more physical. Could you, in fact, have the opposite effect and making it more risky on a special teams play because those things may happen? Don't know the answer to that, but it's certainly something to watch. But like I said, I'm okay with the rule. Let's see what it does.
NCAA implemented that rule in 2018, by the way. And, yes, it did reduce some of the returns and some of the injuries as well. League owners also voted this week to allow flexing of Thursday night football games. The league can flex in and out between weeks 13 and 17 this season. The flexing must be done 28 days before the game.
Yeah, not a fan.
And no team can be flexed from Sunday to Thursday night more than once per season, and no team will play more than 2 Thursday night games per season. Now, listen to the schedule of games in those weeks and tell me how many of these are going to get flexed out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, week 13, Seahawks at Cowboys. That's staying.
I'm not necessarily, no. I mean, Cowboys are a big draw.
Yes, that's why they're staying.
But if the Seahawks, are terrible, which I don't expect them
Cowboys.
to be.
They're going to be on Thursday night football. Week 14, Patriots at Steelers.
That's not changing.
That's staying right there. Week 15, Chargers at Raiders. Staying.
Yeah.
Big market.
Yeah,
whole deal.
Yeah, the L.A.
Week 16, Saints at Rams.
Could be a change.
Maybe.
Could be a change.
But you need to know they stink a month before they stink. That's the trick with this.
Here's the thing: the Rams might stink a month before they get to the point of this.
And
right?
then Week 17, Jets at Browns. I think that'll probably stay.
Well, yeah, if Aaron Rodgers is still playing, that'll be a draw. But I just don't like the whole concept of that it could change. You know, I know we're talking about the chances of it changing are not great.
Right, but they got to really stink early.
But my point of that is that, look, if the schedule comes out, then all of a sudden me, you, and Joe are fans, and Reber, the four of us were like, hey, man, let's go check this game out on Thursday night in such and such a city. We book airfare. We get hotel rooms. We get time off of work, arrange for babysitters. I mean, we go through all of that process, and then all of a sudden, a month out, we're told that that's not going to happen. I mean,
now the one game we really thought right here could change is Saints at Rams. That's Christmas week. That's the Thursday before Christmas as well. So you start changing Christmas week games and travel, the whole thing. That gets weird.
Look, I'm with the owner of the New York Giants, which said that this is not good for our fans and it's not fair to the fan base, and I'm not a big fan of this. But I understand it. TV is the big money. And even though you want to take into consideration the 50, 60, 70, 80,000 fans that are going to be in attendance, the reality is that it's about the millions of eyeballs that are watching on TV.
And as Mike Florio said on Pro Football Talk, and made a good point earlier this week, it's not necessarily that reason, but it's for the future of streaming as well. They got to boost the performance of these streaming properties because the next negotiations are about 7 years down the line. If they start building a base of streaming where it's performing well then all the big money comes in about 7 years.
Well, JP, usually when you follow the money, you finally find the answer.
That's very true. Colts owner Jim Irsay said league owners...
Oh, no.
This is your guy.
When you start with that, I just go, oh, no.
That's your guy.
What now?
Well, he says that they're set to extend NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell's contract through 2027. He said it's basically done. Just got to dot the I's and cross the T's. It's not finalized, but it's right there, he said, basically. Possibly also the next leadership arrangement following Goodell could look different with a CEO of business on one side, a football leader on the other. That's a little ways down the road. Roger Goodell is 64 years of age.
Well, and Roger's a young 64, and I have a high level of respect for Roger Goodell and have had numerous one-on-one conversations with him, and he's incredibly smart. He's been incredibly good for the business of football. I think he's been good for the fans of football because he's made football more readily available on more platforms and on more days than it's ever been available before. And he's been incredibly great for the ownerships because the value of the franchises are at record levels. The value of the income streams are at record levels. So, by all means, he's deserved an extension that he will get. The question that I have, what next? I mean, are they grooming somebody? And I know you talked about possibly having multiple people do that job.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in that you need to have a commissioner. There needs to be one person, one voice that speaks for the league.
It's always been that way.
Always been that way, and it should always be that way. Then you don't ever get conflicting messages. If you got a problem, you go to one person, right? I mean, if you got or need an answer, you go to one person.
The other idea of that, though, is that with the money and the deals that are such big, highly negotiated things, a CEO-type person who has a business background would be better suited for those than somebody who came up through the football operations side.
Well, the reality is that Roger Goodell is so talented that you may not be able to replace him with one person.
That's right.
From a league standpoint.
Yeah.
So if you need to get multiple people to fill the skill set that he provided, then look, JP, then absolutely that's what you got to do. But you need to have one person in front of the camera.
You got to have somebody's got to be the boss.
Right.
Yes.
Well, here's the reality. There's 32 bosses.
That's true.
Okay. Roger's the perceived boss, but there's 32 bosses that are the bosses. But you have to have leadership and the ability to get 32 opinions together, and that's what Roger Goodell does such a great job with.
Brent Reber on the video side, Joe Fortunato on the audio side. Our thanks to Jeff Lageman. Good to see you again.
Good to be seen.
Talk to you next time.
You got it.
For
Next
our
week.
entire crew, I'm JP Shadrick. Thank you for listening and for watching. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.